Hi, Mimma, how are you doing?
Hi, Georgie. I'm very well. How are you doing?
I'm not too bad. I'm not too bad. I wanted to chat to you today because Gucci did a kind of hacking collaboration, although they don't like to use the term collaboration, with Balenciaga. And I thought this was a good time to kind of discuss collaboration as a whole. What did you think, first off, of kind of Gucci and Balenciaga's hacking?
First, I would like to say that I think the Gucci and Balenciaga hacking is the proof that collaboration is becoming a trend. And I love it. And I think it's here to stay. And we will probably see that it exists in music, in art, in everything. But Gucci being Gucci and Alessandro Michele being Alessandro Michele, they couldn't just do a collaboration. You know, they needed to find some creative idea around that. And believe it or not, like it or not, I think it was pretty cool. The fact that they used the word hacking, which, you know, it's in the zeitgeist at the moment, and especially the way it did it, because it was, people criticize it because it was literally taking the most known pieces of the last Balenciagas by Demna shows and double logoed them, you know, and changed, as he said, a little bit the shoulder or a little bit this and that. But actually, it was Balenciaga into Gucci with the logos in an approved way. And for me, that's the irony on it. And that's what makes it so successful. Because if you think about what happened in social media afterward, that's the only thing that was seen. And I thought the show, though overall, had some very interesting things and some very interesting hacking of Gucci past, including look number one, that was the thing that made Gwyneth Paltrow a fashion icon, you know, the suit, the velvet suit by Tom Ford. So what I'm trying to say is that it was smart. Marketing wise, it was genius.
I agree in parts. I think the term hacking for Gucci is genius. It works so brilliantly with everything that Alessandro does and embodies at Gucci. And then to do it from Balenciaga, arguably the other top brand that's kind of on the level of Gucci in terms of logos and recognizability and those kind of signature styles, is just so clever. The collection for me, I think, was quite OTT and there's just a lot to feast on, but I absolutely loved that hacking of Gucci archives and the way that the Balenciaga had kind of been reappropriated, if you will. But I wanted to talk about that idea of hacking because I think it works so well because both brands, or collaboration even, it works so well because both brands have such clear visual identities. And I think that's when collaboration works really well. Like, for example, Moncler, whenever they collaborate with designers, they're collaborating with designers that have such a clear vision that no matter how distorted or puffy or fantastical the item gets, you can always tell that that's Pier Paolo's Valentino, or you can always tell that that's Simone Rocha or Craig Green in some cases. Do you think that for collaboration to succeed, there needs to be two clear visual identities? Or is it a bit more fluid than that?
Yes, it works when the identities, both identities, are kept alive. But I also think that collaboration, and I have a few examples here, makes sense when the two brands make sense. Let alone the big retailers a la H&M, who were the first to do it with luxury designers, where it's just giving to an audience that cannot afford the designer at a better price or at a more affordable price. And so that doesn't matter if Simone Rocha, or at the time, to take the first one, Karl Lagerfeld, match with H&M. That's a totally different thing. But I think it works when the two brands or the two names have something in common. I don't know if you agree with this. And that's why I think Gucci and Balenciaga, they're both a bit bonkers and they both, you know, loved or attacked. And so it makes sense.
I think that's an interesting point in that there needs to be kind of a common thread between the two parties that are working together. In some cases, some of the best collaborations have been unexpected, like, for example, Kim Jones's Louis Vuitton and Supreme, which kind of just pushed collaboration into the mainstream, since Supreme rocketing. And nobody really saw that coming. And I think there's quite an interesting thing when sometimes the unexpected come together. Like, for example, Ahluwalia and Ganni's new collaboration. I never would have put those two together.
Yeah, but you say the ethos is there, you know,
Yes.
and for me, the best example is Kim Jones, who is the father of all famous modern collaboration, Louis Vuitton by Kim Jones and Supreme. I think, yeah, it was unexpected and that's why it was genius. But I think, you know, Louis Vuitton always, like it or not, they're doing things first and that nobody else did, and being in weird places and hiring designers a la Marc Jacobs that were unexpected. And Supremes, we don't even need to say it. So I think in that case, it's the ethos. It's almost never the design. I mean, if they look alike, why would they collaborate? But, you know, you now gave the example of Ganni and Pia. I think that goes in the upcycling thing. It is a collaboration, but it's this genius idea that, by the way, Ellery had with the Randan thing, you know, of taking that stock and having someone they believe in, or someone whose designs and ethos and ethics, whatever, believe in, and make them redo it. And I think it's very brave on the side of a brand to put your brands in the hand of a third party, you know, of another creative. And so kudos for Ganni to do that. And I think it's good to quote Fendi and Unreal Age, because it was almost unknown, but Fendi, Silvia Venturini Fendi went to them because they loved something they did. And that's when I say it makes sense. So she wanted that technology that made the fabric change color under a certain light. And that technology was presented first by Unreal Age. So she didn't steal it. She asked them, will you do it for me or will you do it with me? And that, I think, it's a fair, honest, but also relevant collaboration.
Yeah, I agree. I think you would never normally put Fendi and Unreal Age in the same sentence, but what I like and when I think collaborations succeed is not just ethos, but they're borrowing something from each other that the other party doesn't have. And that could be said for Ahluwalia and Ganni. Ganni kind of need Ahluwalia's noggin for upcycling and putting those pieces together. Otherwise, they would be destined for the bin or the recycling bin or whatever it is.
Georgie, is the difference between, we have to do a collaboration because everybody's doing it, asking a PR, give me a list, and then, you know, choosing one that you like.
Yeah.
Or, as you said, Fendi wanting to borrow something they've seen and they respected and loved, and saying, I'm going to do this because I want that, not because I have to do it. So that's where, and I think it feels the authenticity, it feels the relevance of it when the final piece is on the catwalk or in a store.
I think also it's worth mentioning kind of Telfar and who they collaborate with, because they've collaborated with White Castle, the burger company, on kind of uniforms, which is just such an interesting way of working. The collaboration with White Castle, I think, is ingenious because it's celebrating that community. It's also kind of so true to the brand, something that they're passionate about. They also just needed the money to survive. So it has this really kind of empathetic, authentic story to it.
I think there's nothing Telfar do that is not authentic. I mean, that's the best example of authenticity. I mean, whatever strategic business choice they made, it's, for me, they're like the anthology of, you know, reality and authenticity. So yeah, very good example. I wanted also to give you an example of a celebrity collaboration that makes sense. And it's the recent Lena Dunham collaboration with 11 Honoré. And why is it authentic? Because it's inclusive sizing. You know that she's always been attacked and abused about her body. People wrote to her, you're ugly, why are you always naked? And she's always been very honest and clear about, you know, her looks and her body. And so she did a collaboration where she designed for women of a certain size, and that's make it credible and relevant. And she modeled it. And by the way, I think she used her father, who's an illustrator for the prints, and her mother, who's an artist for something else. So it's a very family thing, you know, and it's small, and she's more famous than the brand, but that could work.
I think it works because it feeds into what we've been saying about kind of authenticity and lending something to the audience that, you know what I mean? It's giving something back. It's not just for the creative who's creating it. I wanted to ask you what you feel about the kind of blanket brands that get used a lot by various different designers, such as UGG, Birkenstock, Converse. A lot of those brands are kind of picked up by various different designers. So Y Project have done UGG, they've Telfar's done UGG, Birkenstocks has been pretty much everyone under the sun. Converse work a lot with young British designers to kind of give them some shoes for their collections. Priya Farzaneh has done a Converse collaboration for a very long time. So I wanted to know what you think about kind of these classic pieces kind of being a blank canvas for designers. Is it a collaboration that we don't mind seeing? How do you feel about that?
I never thought about that, so I guess I don't feel, but why not? You know, the Birkenstock, UGG and Converse of the world, they're wealthier and bigger than the designers I work with. And the nice thing is that they need the cool factor that come from the J.W. Anderson and the Molly Goddard of this world. And the designers need probably the money and the publicity generated around that. So why not? I think it's very good. And usually this designer that designs something that it's really appealing and desirable and sells well, and so it's a win-win. Yeah, no, to answer your question, I feel very positive about those.
Yeah, I guess it goes in tandem with the kind of H&M collaborations of the world. It's these kind of big brands pulling up the slightly lesser known brands with it. Certainly the most recent Simone Rocha, I think, collaboration with H&M was a massive hit.
I always wonder, who are these people, you know, that put the alarm up to be the first in, and as you say, nationally or internationally? I mean, I guess I know who they are, but I would like to know what you think. Are they all fashionistas that love Simone, and maybe they could even afford Simone, maybe Simone in sales, or are they really H&M normal clients that want something they heard about and they don't even know about Simone Rocha really?
I think that's a really interesting point.
Talking to the same people that anyway they receive or buy Simone anyway.
I think that's a really interesting point, because I think as soon as you mention the word collaboration, the idea of limited edition comes into mind, and that automatically sends people into a bit of a shopping frenzy. So there's already that kind of anticipation, certainly with hype brands or sneakerheads, anything to do with collaboration, people will be lining up and setting alarms on their phone. I think it's a mixed bag when it comes to the H&M launches, because a lot of the fashion circle have been sent clothes anyway.
It's more of a marketing thing for the retailer than
I think it is definitely a huge marketing thing. And also there's a massive problem with resales. So a lot of people will bulk buy, sell it for 3 times the price. I think when H&M came online the day of, there was already pieces on eBay going for 3 times the price.
Oh, really?
And that happens a lot in the sneakerhead community, and certainly the Supreme community, Palace, things like that. Any big hype brand, the resale is crazy. People save up, bulk buy, and then make a fortune on selling them again. You can make a serious amount of money from the kind of frenzy of collaboration, if that makes sense.
Yeah, well, talking about sneakerhead, shall we mention the
black shoes?
I don't know if you say Mischief or you say the letters anyway, and Lil Nas.
Yeah, Lil Nas.
Nike.
Yeah, it caused quite a stir.
Even a collaboration, that's like a slap in the face of the brand, right?
Yeah, I think that's when things go a little bit awry, when you haven't kind of taken both parties into consideration, when you're not necessarily, that's when I think collaboration might fall a little flat, when it becomes a novelty or a gimmick.
You know, Mischief, the website, they're known to sell out in hours, whatever the price is, because those Nikes were, I think, $1,300 each or something like that. But how could they, and they had so much publicity around it, everybody, that it was probably worth it, but they had to recall them and pay people back. So it was not at all a successful commercial operation. And I would never think that I can get away with it with a company like Nike. They can squeeze you out of the planet in a second, you know? So overall, they probably thought about that, and you know, there's nothing like no publicity that it's worse than bad publicity. But you know, they did, I think they did the same, the holy water Nike before, and Nike said, fun, you know, let's do it. But of course, when it's human blood and it's called Satan, in times that we're living, where people are dying by the 100,000s, where Black people are killed by policemen. I mean, I don't know. I mean, I don't mind, and I'm not a moralist, but I would never thought they could get away with it. You know, the minute it came out and the minute Nike sued, Nike won. Mm-hmm. Were we surprised?
No. No.
That's not a collaboration. That's not a collaboration. That's taking a liberty to do something.
Yeah.
For publicity.
For publicity, yeah. And kind of speaking of taking someone's visual identity, I want to talk a little bit about when it works with artists, because it's something that Kim Jones does for Dior very well, bringing an artist into the space, celebrating that artist. And I think that also feeds into this idea of celebrating a community that we've been speaking about, bringing something to an audience that might not know of it. And I think for me, artist collaborations are almost always positive. I don't think I've really felt, unless the clothes were less than because of it. But I think, I mean, Reprojects has collaborated with a illustrator called Lula Wolf, and it's beautiful. And Dior's collaborations with, you know, Peter Doig have just been gorgeous. And I think
David Arsham
and Daniel Arsham, yeah, fantastic. And I think to me, bringing an artist into the fold is only ever a really lovely thing.
Yeah, I mean, I mean, artist collaboration with designers is not new. I mean, Stella McCartney has done many 10 years ago, and Louis Vuitton, I mean, Murakami bags, like, what is it, 25 years ago? Yeah, I know you liked it, I hated it, but yeah, but anyway, but it was an interesting thing. So that's not new, but again, you know, I think it works when, first of all, the product, or like Harsham did, more of a set design or whatever, works and it's good, but it works when, again, there is something between the designer and the artist that can be real, like, as we said before, either a style or an ethos or a friendship, something that makes it real. I think, yeah, but it's not, that came way before designers collaborated to designers, because if you think what the Virgil Abloh and the Samuel Ross of the world do now was impossible at the time. Designers didn't talk to each other. Competition was capital C, and now they're friend with each other. They do project, they do charity project together. And so, you know, that's much more new than the artist collaboration that brought amazing products and amazing thing. And yeah, again, Kim Jones is the king of that.
I want to go back a bit to you mentioning designers and our friends, and kind of rewind all the way back to Alessandro and Demna Gvasalia. Do we expect that this is something that's now snowballing and more designers are going to do it? Do we like designers hacking each other? Who would we like to see hack going forward? Or was this a really kind of lovely finite one thing?
I usually love the first one, especially when it's so particular. I mean, if someone now was hacking someone else and doing exactly the same thing, where there's almost no change in the look except the logos, I would personally think it's ridiculous, unless it's still Balenciaga or Gucci doing it, you know, like now, will that give the world a new trend? It's possible. Will it work? I don't know. Let's see. If I were a designer, I wouldn't do it tomorrow with another famous designer, because I did it before. So
yeah, we'll have to wait and see. Well, it was lovely chatting on collaboration with you, and thank you so much for taking the time to chat to me.
Oh, it's lovely to chat with you, Georgie, and see you soon.
I'll see you soon. Bye.